Hey everybody, it's GomletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'm going to be playing another premiere draft of Theros Beyond Death. So without further ado, let's take a peek through our pack 1 and see what we want to scoop up here. So I'm not a massive fan of our rare here, Idyllic Tutor. It's just going to do pretty much what Heliod's Pilgrim is going to do, except this can grab enchantment creatures, not just auras. But this doesn't give you a creature, it's just not a great card for limited. Heliod's Punishment isn't very good removal because eventually your opponent could break out of it. Reverent Hoplite is solid once you start pushing into white and you have a high white devotion, but I don't know if it's where we want to start. Daybreak Chimera is a pretty good flyer for any white deck, and then Omen of the Forge is solid red removal. It's kind of a weak pack 1 all around. I like Omen of the Forge, I like Hoplite, Daybreak Chimera, and Indomitable Will are both fine. And I guess I'll just grab Omen of the Forge because I think that this pack sends a pretty white signal. 3 of the best cards in that pack are in white, so I don't know if I want to hop in on that and then be contested for white in pack 2, especially because the white cards aren't that much stronger than just Omen of the Forge. I mean, this is a solid little instant speed piece of removal here. So let's see what we have in pick 2. We have Underworld Fires, which would be great if we could sideboard, but this is best of 1 draft. Do have Witness of Tomorrow's really solid flying body for the cost, and we also have Underworld Charger. This can't block, so it's not the best escape creature ever, since it's only great on the aggressive, but just any creature with escape is pretty solid. The mechanic is just that powerful. We could take Final Flare. It does synergize well with Omen of the Forge, because we can just leave the Omen on the board to sacrifice later to a Flare. Saw a little red removal spell there. Yeah, Underworld Charger, Witness of Tomorrow's, Final Flare, I suppose. Let's go for something a bit different here. Go for an Underworld Charger. I haven't tried to play a black deck yet, and that could be pretty good. Ooh, if we see a pick 3 Timuret, then I'm definitely going to try to push into black. This is an incredible card. It's very, very good in this format because there are graveyard recursion spells, things that will return like a creature from your graveyard to your hand, or there are just escape cards that you can cast from the graveyard. So being able to exile those is a pretty powerful ability. You also get to gain life while you're doing it. So this shuts off everyone's graveyard synergies while also potentially gaining you some life in the process. So I'm definitely going to scoop up Timuret, Chosen from Death here. Okay, that should just be a visual error. That should be a Timuret. That just happens sometimes. I don't know why. Hopefully Arena can get that fixed pretty soon. But we just need to remember we have a Timuret, Chosen from Death, not a Deny the Divine. So pick 4 here. I think Venomous Aerophant is actually a pretty solid card. Again, with escape cards like Underworld Charger, Self-Mill actually gets pretty good in the format, and Venomous Aerophant's a pretty efficient way to do that. 4 mana for a 3/3 Death Touch isn't a bad deal, so you're kind of just getting the Self-Mill as an upside there. I'll take the Venomous Aerophant here. Seems fine to me. Stick to our black-red escape deck here. Ooh, Soul Reaper of Mogis. This is a card that I enjoy quite a bit. 3 mana for a 2/3, and you can spend 3 mana to sacrifice a creature and draw a card, so fits into kind of the red-black sacrifice theme. It's very good with expendable creature tokens, as well as active treason effects, cards that will steal opponents' creatures for a turn. Soul Reaper of Mogis is pretty great, and I'm super happy to see that there. So we only actually have 1 red card so far, so we're not necessarily black-red. We have 4 black cards. Again, this is Timuret. So this pack looks like we are going to speculate on a different color, because Arena Trickster, while I did have a lot of fun with it in our blue-red spells deck, isn't really going to work anywhere else. We could take Skola Grove Dancer. This is a way we can self-mill to fuel our escape cards, plus green-black is pretty good at graveyard synergy things, so I like Skola Grove Dancer here. Forerunner's okay, but it is pretty low toughness for the 5 mana, so I haven't been a massive fan of it. Ooh, Blight Breath Katoblapa. I'm gonna hope that that is the correct pronunciation. It's a 6 mana, 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, the target creature gets -X on a turn where X is your devotion to black. So 6 mana for a 3/2 is a lot of mana, but this is a removal spell and a creature slapped all in one, which is pretty great. Funeral Rites is probably pretty great in this format as well. Draw a couple cards and get some self-mill to help trigger your escape cards. So I think both of these would be very solid picks, the Blight Breath or the Funeral Rites, but I'm going to go with the Blight Breath here because we are very heavy into black. We should have some solid black devotion stuff. So in green-black, I think Relentless Pursuit is going to shine in this color pair as compared to any other one, because this is very similar to Funeral Rites. It's going to draw us 2 cards and mill us 2 cards. We get 1 creature and land from the top 4. The rest go into the graveyard. So Relentless Pursuit seems solid here. Enemy Enlightenment is not super good. It's forcing each player to discard a card in your upkeep. It's often not going to be very big for the cost if your opponent has any cards in hand. Plus, it's pretty flimsy being an enchantment creature. Not a big fan of the Enemy of Enlightenment, even though that is on color. There's nothing on color here, but there's also pretty much nothing in the pack. I think the best card is Indomitable Will, being a solid combat trick since it does leave behind a permanent buff on whatever you spent it on. So I guess I'll just take that. It's the best card in the pack by far. I guess we could rare draft here. But there is a chance I get pushed into black-white because we only have 2 green cards and 1 red card. Everything else is in black. Okay, a Final Flare this late is pretty good for red-black because that is sort of the sacrifice theme, and this is going to be pretty good with Omen of the Forge. It's going to be pretty good with any expendable tokens we get. Scophos War Leader is also like fine, but Final Flare is definitely better than that. Really late Indomitable Will is nice. I'll scoop that up. I don't think I'll be playing a Gift of Strength in green-black. Aspect of Lamprey, it's probably okay. I've heard that this card is a lot better than it looks, but it doesn't look very good to me. 4 mana for discard 2 isn't great, but you also give something lifelink, so if you slap those both onto the same card, maybe it becomes worth it. Let's see what we've got in pack 2. This looks like it's going to be a very easy pick. Just have an on-color rare that's pretty good. Exile a creature, Planeswalker, and you can mill the top card of your library if you want. Pretty good with escape cards, which is kind of what we're leaning into here. If Each to Extinction weren't in this pack, this would be a very easy Voracious Typhon. This is just the best escape creature. 4 mana for a 4/4 or 7 mana to escape it, exiling 4 other cards from your grave to escape it as a 7/7. Very, very good card to close out the game's late game. Klothys' design is not actually very good, but I have in the past drafted mono green in this format with like 2 Klothys' designs as my finishers, and that was super fun, even though I don't think that card's one of the better cards in the pack. Staggering Insight's definitely phenomenal, but we're not going down that color pair, and Archon's pretty good. But yeah, it's going to be Eat to Extinction here. And now we get past a Voracious Typhon, pretty great for the green-black. So in green, we get access to Skola, Grovenance, Relentless Pursuit, and Gift of Strength. In red, we get access to Omen of the Forge and Final Flare. Yeah, I think we're already slightly higher into green than red, and the green card in this pack is better than any of the red cards in the pack. So I think that's where we're at. We scoop up the green card, go for green-black escape. Green-black graveyard. Alright, now we've got Omen of the Dead, which is definitely fine in black-green. We've got a lot of self-mill going on. Another aspect of Lamprey. I'm going to run the first copy, because I've kind of never done it before, but I'm not going to try to scoop up multiples and play them, so I guess I'll go Omen of the Dead here. Forerunner, again, it's fine. It is a good ability, and being an enchantment is helpful for Constellation triggers if you have them, but low toughness for the cost. And then Farrakhan's Libation, you're just not destroying what you want to kill very often. So it's kind of low on my list of removal. There's some very good black removal in this set, so I'm going to take Libation just later if I really don't have removal. But I'd prefer Mire's Grasp and Final Death. Those are both commons in this format in black. Mire's Grasp is 2 mana for -3/3, and Final Death is 5 mana at instant speed to exile whatever you're targeting, which is pretty nice. Okay, what do we have now? Pick 4, another Staggering Insight. Whoever's in white-blue is going to have a really fun time, but we're very far away from that. Probably going to be another Venomous Aerophant here. Nice self-mill card. Return to Nature is an option, though. Again, main deck enchantment removal is pretty good in this format, and it's also a main deck way to exile an escape card from a graveyard if your opponent has a nice escape rare or something. So that's actually a pick we could consider. Do we need creatures or non-creatures more right now? We have 6 creatures, 6 non-creatures. We're definitely needing to fill out a little more creatures in here. Let's get an Aerophant. A third Staggering Insight. Wow. That's insane. Not because they're not getting picked up, but the fact that 3 of them were opened right next to each other pretty much here. That's just incredible for the blue-white players. So we're kind of lacking on early game creatures. I guess we have a Timuret, the double black card, and a Grove Nancher, so that's 2 2-mana creatures. I think we want a few more. I'll take a Caryatid here. Also helps us potentially ramp into our 4-drops a turn early, play them on turn 3, because we do have a lot of those. I'm going to take that over a second Omen of the Dead, but I'm not super excited about it. Looks like we're getting kind of cut off of green-black from this direction. Hopefully things can pay out in the third pack. Our deck looks pretty powerful right now for these 14 cards, but we do need to fill it out with like 7 more. So hopefully we don't get cut too hard here. We get some random filler in at some point. I think I'm just going to be taking some off-color card here because neither of these are going to be playable for us. I'll just rare draft a little bit, take the highest rarity card to fill our vault progress a little faster. We do get an Omen of the Dead here if we really want it. They seem to be going kind of late here, and I don't think I'm going to want too many copies of Omen of the Dead, so I'd probably rather just take Nexus Wardens. I'm still lacking on creatures, only 8 right now. And this one's a pretty solid one for a slower deck, which the green-black self-mill decks definitely can be, because you can grind out the game with a lot of escape creatures constantly coming back. So Nexus Wardens actually is probably pretty great in this kind of deck. Just really slows the game down, gives a really big blocker, and gains us some life throughout the game. And here I'll just rare draft this random piece of garbage that I don't think anybody's interested in, but get some gems for the collection or just another rare for the collection. Ooh, Mogus's Favor is not a bad pickup at all here. This card is phenomenal against 1 toughness creatures, actually so good against 1 toughness creatures that it makes me personally, and probably a lot of other drafters, much less likely to take 1 toughness creatures unless they're very, very good. Because yeah, this card with the escape ability can just repeatedly snipe everything your opponent has with 1 toughness. It's super, super good. Now, your opponent's not always going to have creatures with 1 toughness, because people tend to draft around that card a little bit, or draft 1 toughness creatures pretty low. But you can also use it to have your creatures win at combat. You know, if you attack your 2/2 into their 3/3 or something, then after combat you could slap Mogus's Favor onto their thing, or you could have just slapped this onto your 2/2 pre-combat, I guess, either way. Now we get to rare draft a Nyx Lotus. It's definitely not draft playable. And let's see what we open up in pack 3. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. That is a cool, fun card, but I don't think it's as powerful as Destiny Spinner. And I don't even know if Destiny Spinner is as powerful as Voracious Typhon would be in this deck. Honestly, I think the most powerful card for this deck is going to be another big late-game escape card like Voracious Typhon, and I think that's what I'm going to take here. Just kind of wild. There's even Funeral Rites, which would be phenomenal here. So Funeral Rites would be great. It's card draw and self-mill. Destiny Spinner would be great. It's a great 2-drop, being a 2/3 for 2 mana, so it can stop the aggressive decks pretty well, blocking 2/2s. And then Dryad of the Elysian Grove, I think, is actually the weakest of every card I just listed in Limited, because sure, you can dump your extra lands out, but if you're getting a ton of value off of this, that means that you're mana flooded hardcore. Like, if you're going to get a 6-drop out early with this, it's because you had like 6 lands in hand and 1 6-drop, which means you're probably losing that game even if you slammed down a 6-drop early. So I'm not a huge fan of effects like Dryad in Limited. If they let you play the lands off the top of your library, then they are drawing you extra cards while doing that, and that becomes worth it. But Dryad is not doing that. It's just playing the lands you already have in hand. So pack 3, pick 2, probably going to be the Fairies Band Brawler. I should put my deck to the side here so you can all read these a little better. 6 mana 4/4 that fights something when it enters the battlefield, so it's kind of a removal spell and a creature all in one, similar to the Blight Breath Catoblepus that we picked up earlier. So I'm going to scoop that up. Soul Reaper is a great card, but I think Fairies Band Brawler is better in our deck, and those are kind of the only 2 options. So we'll pick up that Fairies Band Brawler. Another Skull of Grove Dancer would be pretty good for the deck, and I think we are having kind of a lack of 2-drop creatures. We have 3 of them. Deny the Divine, Skull of Grove Dancer, and Caryatid. Yeah, I can use another. Skull of Grove Dancer seems pretty good for the strat. Discordant Piper's fine. I think Grove Dancer's probably a little better for us. Nexus Wardens would be fine. But that's about it. These 3 all seem fine. I'm going to go for another Grove Dancer here. Ooh, Lampad of Death's Vigil. This is another great sacrifice outlet. This can win a lot of games out of nowhere. It's also a very good blocker in the early game. But if you ever get to the point where you and your opponent have just ground out a game, you've been attacking each other for a while, and all of a sudden each player's at like 7 life, if you ever get 7 creatures on the board, you just spend 7 mana and win on the spot. Sure, you lose your whole board state, but if it means your opponent loses the game, it's worth it. All right, what do we have now? Pick 5, pretty much nothing. We could take a second copy of Gift of Strength, but I highly doubt I'm playing 2 in this deck. I'm just going to rare draft an Underworld Breach. Ooh, Chainweb Arachneer or Loathsome Chimera. These are both phenomenal. Do I want the card that's better straight up where I get a 3-mana 4/1? Or do I want the card that's better once you escape it, where I get a 5-mana 4/5 reach when I escape this? This requires more cards to escape as well. We need 4 cards in our grave to escape this. We only need 3 to escape this one. Actually, don't know which is better, but I'm gonna take the Chimera, actually. Take the common here, but it's definitely one of the 2 escape cards. I think I go for the Chimera because it's just easier to escape it. You get to do that more often and have it trade off with stuff. It also has more upfront impact than a 1-mana 1/2. So another Nexus Wardens or a Scavenging Harpy. These are both fine. I guess we already have 1 Warden, so we could spread things out a bit, go for a Harpy. Or we could be more consistent and have double Wardens for the grind game. Yeah, I'll go for Nexus Wardens. I think we are a grindy deck. How are we looking on creatures now with our 23 cards? 15? We're good. We're set. We have as many creatures and non-creatures as we want, so now anything we take is just going to make our deck better. Do we want a Soul Reaper? Or do we want Relentless Pursuit? Or do we want a Grove Dancer? What makes our deck the best? I don't know. Probably another Relentless Pursuit, I would think, would be pretty beautiful for us. And then we get to play that instead of a combat trick like Gift of Strength. I don't think we're a deck that needs combat tricks because we just grind out a lot of escape value instead. I'm not going to play Omen of the Hunt or Nyxborn Colossus, but I mean, Nyxborn Colossus, I guess, would be more likely. Just another big game ender sort of card. Not going to play any of that. Yeah, I think I'm cutting Gift of Strength, Nyxborn Colossus, and this is our 23 card deck here. Take another look at everything, make sure I didn't overlook something that's really bad in this deck. Well, we actually got a sweet 2-drop. Discordant Piper here. I'm fine with that. Not a sweet 2-drop, but a solid one. It's very good with our Soul Reaper of Mogus and our Lampad of Death's Vigil, so I'm definitely running it in this deck. Maybe we cut the Fairyka's Libation here as the final cut. We don't have a lot of removal though, so we might end up just having to play it so we have something on the removal front, but a lot of board states in this format can get pretty big where you're not actually destroying what you want to destroy with that card. So I don't know about that. Oh, there's our Timuret. I like how the Deny the Divine just vanished because it just realized we never drafted a copy. Alright, is there anything in the sideboard that we might play? I guess Gift of Strength or Nyxborn Colossus, so I'll keep that in mind, but I don't think that's happening. Either of those 2 cards. So we need to cut 1 more card here. This looks like a fun deck. I don't know how good it is, but it's fun. Definitely keeping every escape card in this deck. We're cutting 1 card at this point. 17 creatures, 7 non-creatures. Omen of the Dead seems like a banger in here. But we do need to put that higher up on the curve. We're not playing that on turn 1. We're not playing Favor on turn 1 either. So we can cut Fairyka's Libation, but then our only removal spell is Eat to Extinction. I suppose Mogus' Favor is sort of removal, but it's very, very narrow removal. It only kills 1 toughness creatures or creatures that we've already damaged until they're damaged down to 1 toughness, basically. I'm going to cut one of these 2-mana cards, probably. I actually like Discordant Piper with Lampet of Death's Vigil and Soul Reaper Mogus, so I might just cut a Grove Dancer, maybe the Caryatid. The mana ramp might not be that important in this deck. And we have 7-mana escape abilities and a couple 6-mana creatures. We could try out the Caryatid first and just cut 1 Grove Dancer. Meet in the middle there. We have enough self-mill that we're not going to be spending 3 mana just to mill 1 card. Like, that's not going to happen unless we have absolutely nothing to do with our mana. So we can focus in on just, casting spells like Relentless Pursuit and Venomous Aerophant to mill ourselves, because those are milling us while actively doing things. Yeah, I think this is the deck. Let's go ahead and beautify it. Alright, so here's a final look at the deck that we've drafted today. It's a Golgari value pile. We've got some self-mill with cards like Relentless Pursuit and Venomous Aerophant. And we use that self-mill to escape some big threats like Voracious Typhon, Underworld Charger, and Loathsome Chimera. So we have a lot of ways to just grind out a lot of value throughout the game with a little bit of card draw from Relentless Pursuits, but mainly a bunch of escape abilities sort of being card draw, and some 2-for-1 threats at 6 mana. Both of these 6-mana creatures will kind of destroy a creature when they enter the battlefield while leaving behind a creature of our own to start attacking with. We also have some other pretty great late game stuff like Omen of the Dead, Aspect of Lamprey is another value spell, potentially getting a nice 2-for-1 by forcing our opponent to discard 2 cards, while also maybe making something big like a Voracious Typhon, a 4/4 lifelinker or something, which could be a pretty impactful effect. So we'll see how Aspect of Lamprey plays. I don't think I've ever cast this card in my life, but I've been hearing some good things about it, so we'll see how it plays here. And yeah, looks like a pretty fun Golgari graveyard value deck. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay and see how well we can do with this one. Here on game 1, this is a bit of an awkward hand, only having one of our colors, but luckily we get to cast everything in the hand with the lands that are currently in it. I suppose we need to draw 1 land by turn 4 to cast the Aerophant, but we definitely have a nice run of actual plays, even if we don't hit the green source. So our opponent goes for the turn 1 Traveler's Amulet, cracking it on turn 2 to grab a basic land, reveal it, put into hand, and it will be a blue source, a green-blue deck from our opponent. We'll start off with our Discordant Piper over here, since it'll attack the hardest if our opponent does not get a creature down. Turn 3 from our opponent. We see a Loathsome Chimera. Mogis' Favor is going to be beautiful against that, especially considering I have a bunch of 2-mana cards to cast here, so I can spend 1 mana to kill the Chimera, and 2 mana to still slam something down. And I'm going to slam our Mana Dork down here, because it is just as powerful in terms of power. It's got 1 power, just like the Lampad does, while having an ability that'll be more relevant early in the game. Lampad will be more relevant later, but for now, that mana from the Elysian Caryatid might be more important. So now a Nessian Hornbeetle from our opponent. What do we want to do about that? We're probably still attacking with Discordant Piper. I don't think we're playing Aspect of Lamprey here. Probably just run out our Venomous Aerophants. And maybe even Omen of the Dead during our opponent's turn, if need be. So they're just going to trade the Hornbeetle here, get more cards in their grave for their Chimera to escape. They need 3 other cards in grave, so it doesn't do it quite yet. Yeah, let's go for our Aerophant here. We mill Ferrica's Libation, Relentless Pursuit, and a land, so some pretty rough mills for us, but it still fuels our escape cards. Just doesn't help our Omen of the Dead pick anything up. Nothing is what our opponent chooses to play. Interesting. I guess I'm just running out more creatures here. Let's see what on earth is going on during combat first. I mean, this is a Death Toucher, so I don't think anything massively bad could happen. So now we drop our Soul Reaper. This is very good with our Goat token. Sack a Goat, draw a card. We'll drop our Lampet of Death's Vigil. Very concerned. I have no idea what's going on here. Thrix the Sudden Storm. Okay. That's a bomb rare, for sure. 4/5 flyer. Fairies ban Brawler's the next play. This is not great. Not great. Aspect of Lamprey looks pretty awesome here, though. Especially if we get to put it on our Death Toucher. If they don't just trade for the Death Toucher right now, then we basically kind of force them into trading with it next turn, because there's no way they're going to let us just keep gaining life off of it. Alright, so we're getting hit for 4 off of Thrix. And what do we got now? We got Mogis' Favor as well. We could buff the Death Toucher, make it a really big Death Touch lifelinker, if we put it on our own card. I guess if I want to cast Mogis' Favor on our own card, we have to do it right now. Yeah, because I only have to exile 2 cards, so I'll be able to do this again in the near future. So that's basically free, because now Caryatid taps for 2 mana. And now even if they just immediately trade for the Aerophant, that's fine, because I can just cast Mogis' Favor again. It's kind of like I didn't even use a card to do that. Yes, that is 100% A-okay. We just gain more life by doing this and still have access to Mogis' Favor. So Loathsome Chimera's coming on out. 5/2 body. Skola Grove Dancer is the draw. That can gain us some more life. It's not really getting us in there, though. We have Omen of the Dead now being able to pick up the Aerophant again as our best bet. Yeah, I suppose we go for that. I think that is our best bet, and we try to hit a better escape creature. Like one of our... I was going to say one of our Voracious Typhons, but Underworld Charger is pretty solid as well. I think we're just losing to this Strix. But if it weren't for Thrix, we've got some good value stuff going on. Just need better removal. Sure, Chimera, they've got 2 other cards engraved, not enough to bring Chimera back yet. Trample over for a little bit here. It's fine. I could sack this, but it's going to trade if I don't sack it, and if I do sack it, then it will not trade into their creature. Okay, let's go to our turn. So we get Underworld Charger, which is a good attacker, but it's not going to block the Forerunner, which is an issue. We get +2/-1 off of Mogis' Favor, so I can make our land pad big enough to trade into the Forerunner. Yeah, maybe I needed to scry in the upkeep here. I don't know. I don't know. It's a painful spot to be in. Don't have a 4-power creature, so if we want to scry with Omen of the Dead, we're not playing the Skola Grove Dancer here. Yeah, let's scry during their end step, I guess. We just trade our Lamphead into the Forerunner. Alright, or we just get them to not attack with Forerunner, that works too. And a Voracious Typhon of their own. Come on, scries. Let's get our removal for this Thrix. That can't kill a 4/5. That is too small. Get rid of that. We're looking for Blight Breath, Catoblepass, or the Eaten Alive thing. The 4-mana exile. Come on. That is neither of those cards. It is a reach creature for a chump block, though, and it'll gain us 2 life when we cast our Grove Dancer. Alright, a little bit of life gain. Little bits of life gain gives us another turn. I guess the Blight Breath doesn't quite get there right now either. Yeah, Foreigner giving the whole field trample is really bad for us here. We're taking 4 damage this way. No, we're taking 4, 5, 6, 7. Go to 2 life. It is what it is. Sack this while I still have a chance to. But now that Trample's gone, it's nice to have some chump blockers if we can get rid of Thrix. Come on, removal for Thrix, let's go. Nope, that'll do it. Rough one there, that would have been a really close match that I think we could have pulled the victory out, and if we could just have killed that Thrix at any point. But we didn't manage to pick up a lot of removal in this deck. Our only hard removal spell is our rare, our 4 mana instant, the Eat to Extinction. Our other removal is all a bit situational, like the Fairy's Band Brawler, which is not big enough to kill a 4/5, the Blight Breath Catoblepass, which is at that point was going to be 4 Devotion to Black, so it could be -4/-4, just not big enough to kill the bomb, instant speed, 5 mana 4/5 flyer there. Just get absolutely crushed by that card. You know, I guess what I could have done, I didn't think it through. Maybe if I left the fight spell on top, this would have been incredibly painful and we probably just lose, but we could have potentially played the 6 mana fight spell and Mogis' Favor in the same turn if we had enough mana, which maybe with our mana dork we did. So then we spend our 4/4 to fight away that and recast our Mogis' Favor. Might have given us a little shot there. Not a big one. But would have been better than not doing that, probably. Alright, we're against another green-blue deck here. Nexus Wardens, if we want to slow things down, our opponent's very clearly holding up a counterspell here, or they just have a very awkward curve. If they want to counterspell our 3-drop, that's probably okay. Let's just play a dorky creature. Could be card draw. There is Thirst for Meaning in this format. Actually a lot of instant speed stuff in this format, which is what makes the counterspell so good, is that you can hold up a counterspell and not get punished for not using it. Because all of the omens are instant speed, and the blue one's really good, the Scry 2 draw card. And then the Thirst for Meaning's pretty good, draw 3 cards and discard an enchantment. And those are both blue instant set common, so those are really easy to have in your hand alongside a counterspell. Timuret Calls the Dead. That is unfortunate. That card is an absolute beating. And they milled an Uro? Oh, I forgot Uro was in this set, but that makes sense. This is the set with escape cards. That is very, very, very bad. Timuret Calls the Dead was already going to be a horrible time for us. They didn't exile Moss Viper from grave? Oh, they're trying to get to their 5 other cards for Uro. Well, this is going to be an uphill battle of a match. That's for sure. Timuret Calls the Dead into Uro is quite a lineup. What do we do here? What's our best shot? Probably saving our exile to exile Uro. It actually works out really well for us if they get greedy and try to just escape Uro rather than getting 2/2 zombies out of Timuret Calls the Dead. So I'm actually very happy with the way that's panned out so far. I guess we're on Relentless Pursuit. We want to make it to 6 mana here, so let's grab another land off the top and a creature. And we don't need to put anything else on the board right now. Let's get another black source. We have a lot of black cards in hand. Could use that mana. Okay. Yeah, just Just pass here. We're holding out to get rid of Uro. See if they want to exile something here. If they don't exile something, they have the 5 cards to escape. So we're just really hoping they get greedy here. Unfortunately, they do exile a card and get a zombie there. But that means they can't just go Forest Uro. But it's because they've got more self-mill, Acolyte of Affliction now. Mill 2 cards, then return a permanent from grave to hand. They do have a Forest in grave. That's the second green they need to escape Uro. Acolyte of Affliction, another 2 for 1. A 2/3 body on board, plus draw a card to their hand. Oh boy. Do I need to kill Uro immediately? It doesn't get haste or anything when they escape it. So I can wait to exile this until our turn, so I don't need to hold up my 4 mana at instant speed. I may as well get some blockers so we can actually block all these 2/2s instead of letting some of them through. So we'll just drop a couple enchantment creatures here. We'll gain us some life and establish some blockers. And then we will exile Uro next turn. Is that a zombie? No, they just had 1 zombie, so scry 1 off of Timurit Calls the Dead. They have 7 cards in graveyard, so they can exile 5 for Uro, return Uro to the board, and still have 1 card left over. Uro's a big boy. They get to draw a card and gain 3 life when they play it. Even if I exile it, they got pretty good value off of it. So we don't really get into the winning position by having held on to this exile spell against Uro, but now we're not just immediately dying, at least. Looks like. I'll keep Aspect of Lamprey. That's a ton of cards in their hand. We're not really getting in. I guess if I throw Mogus's Favor onto, like, Nexus Wardens, I have a 3/3 on board that can maybe attack with, but probably just rather be blocking all day right now. Until we get, like, this Underworld Charger down, that'd be a pretty obvious attacker. Ooh. That is bait, because they knew I had Fairies Band Brawler, but I can't really see this Fairies Band Brawler getting much better than getting rid of that 3/4 flyer. This is a sweet deck from our opponent. Omen of the Sea is the play now. Scry 2 and draw a card. So if I send Fairies Band Brawler in here, they can block it with a 2/3 and a 2/2, but then I can throw Mogus's Favor onto one of them. That would be a pretty good deal. I don't think I want to Aspect of Lamprey right now until I get a little less cards in hand. And I don't want to waste the lifelink when I know that whatever I throw it on is going to get double blocked and killed anyway. Rather try to get lifelink when I know one of my threats is like too big to get blocked easily. So I think right now I'm just going to slam in and kind of see what happens. See how they choose to block here. I mean, they're at 27. They might just not block at all. All right, they're going to go for the double block, so we go 2 damage there, 2 damage there. And we're going to go for it with Mogus's Favor. They have a combat trick here that's going to blow me out. Okay, they don't. Now we drop Underworld Charger, I suppose, and then play a land so we have the mana to use Soul Reaper or Grove Dancer if we need to. So we could throw Favor onto the Charger and really get bashing in, but I think I'd rather be flexible with that card. So I could use it to do a similar thing if they go for another double block on our Underworld Charger or something. So Thirst Permitting, draw 3, discard 2, probably discarding a couple lands. They got a lot of cards in hand. Yeah, I was going to assume some of those are probably lands they've just been holding to discard to that. Now, this is a deck actually with enough self-mill that we might have considered playing more than 40 cards. Just now am remembering that is definitely a thing that you can do so that I wouldn't feel so bad about just starting to dump cards into Grove Dancer. I don't think I need to because we have 6 in Grave already, so I kind of don't even want to use Grove Dancer here. I think, because I just don't want to get in a position where I'm milling myself out. Voracious Typhon's a great draw. So if we play a Blight Breath, it's going to be -4/-4 here. We can -4/-4 the... I guess anything they have we can -4/-4, which would be okay. But not phenomenal. Because Underworld Charger still wouldn't attack in very well. I guess it's not getting in at all unless we get rid of Nexus Wardens. Because they just keep blocking it with a 1/4 currently. Unless we throw Mogus's Favor on it, that makes it a 5-power creature. It's still 1/1 trades for a Wave Rider though. I think I'm just going to kill this Nexus Wardens. That puts another attacker on our board as well. Ichthyomorphosis, turn our Nexus Wardens into a 0/1 so that they can get in with their flyers. Triton Wave Rider's gonna start jamming in. They have another spell to play here. They do. Brine Giant is the play, leaving them with 3 cards in hand. 2 cards in hand exactly. Aspect of Lamprey. I know this is probably greedy, but I just want to do this. I don't even want to do anything else. I don't have much other options though now that they have a 5/6 blocker anyway. What am I going to give lifelink to? Whatever I give lifelink to is just going to die, but at least I'll gain 3 life, I guess. So we just throw it onto our 3/2 that can actually block, I suppose. Yeah, it's the most likely way to actually gain life off the lifelink. Let's see what we got out of their hand here. Come on, some goodies. So we got rid of Elite Instructor and Omen of the Hunt. Okay, not the greatest thing ever. It's fine. So now we just Relentless Pursuit. We need to draw some big threats to outpace their board here, but we have more cards than they do. Typhon can go in Grave, that can escape. I guess we pick up Timuret. Timuret's pretty good this late, I think. Just start ripping apart some graveyards. Just ripping a fat one. Alright. One card in our opponent's hand. They only have 9 cards in their library. What happened there? Are we just on the mill plan? I mean, we can block all day long, but we can't really get in. I guess we're on the mill plan until we play this Typhon. So, hi Timuret, nice to see you again. I speak Timuret's language. Yeah, I guess we just start exiling cards for now, gaining life, have a really big board state. And then next turn we can get a Typhon and just start attacking with that. Yeah, we do close the game out here with these Voracious Typhons. We'll be attacking with 7/7s. That's big enough. That is big enough. We have a plan to try to close out the game even if our opponent isn't going to mill out. They're scrying both cards to the bottom. That's what we like to see. No more gas. We did exile the Uro. Well, these are all exiled. Oh yeah, because Uro had to escape like 5 cards. Exile a couple more creatures. Oh, definitely the Acolyte. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got the mana to play the Typhon and exile from Graves. That is what we will do. We want anything that doesn't escape. There we go. I guess we have to be worried about a Wrath, but they're blue-green, so not really. I think. 7 cards now. Elspeth's Nightmare. That'll blow up our Timuret. It's not particularly nice. They're going to scoop them up. They know they can blow up Timuret, but we still get to attack with the 7/7. If it trades off into stuff, we can just replay it again. And they have a lower count. They're just going to scoop it up. That'll be 1-1. Fight our way through an Uro. That game, nice stuff. Alright, here we are now in round 3, and this looks like a pretty great hand. We have a turn 2 Timuret into a turn 3 Loathsome Chimera. Not something we'll be able to do every game, because it requires double black on turn 2 and a green source on turn 3. But this game, we get to roll it out. Hello again, Timuret. Nice to see you. No plays from our opponent yet. On an empty board, our 4/1's going to be better. They're going to go for instant speed removal here. And there's a lot of instants in this format. It would be rough to get countered here. I don't know which I would rather get countered. Probably rather have Underworld Charger get countered. But I don't know if I just play around a counter spell here because there's so many instant speed things you can have in this format. I'm just going to play Loathsome Chimera. Cross my fingers. Alright, no counter spell. Vexing Goal. 2/2 flyer with flash is what it was. So next turn we get to drop an Underworld Charger and a Mogis' Favor, or if we hit a green source we get to drop a Voracious Typhon, which would probably be better. Suppose it depends on what they play. If it's a solid 1 toughness creature, it'll be nice to get it out of here. Just skedaddle the card. Relentless Pursuit is the draw. Can dig towards the next green source that we need. I feel like Timuret is a valuable enough ability that we don't want to be attacking with Timuret, even though we could use our Mogis' Favor to have Timuret actually kill Soul Reaper Mogis if they block that way. So I don't think I'm going for a Mogis' Favor play. I think I'm just sending in the Chimera, which is always fine to trade with anything because it has an escape ability, but none of their creatures do. Alright, so we're trading with the flyer. And then are we on Relentless Pursuit here? Underworld Charger is a beat stick. They only have 3 mana. Underworld Charger is probably big enough to attack in pretty well. We can just send that down. And then pass here. And because we have enough devotion to black that Timuret's a 2/3, if they don't play another creature, then I'm definitely cool with attacking with Timuret. If they do, though, I don't even want to open up Timuret to dying to a double block. So we could have went for Underworld Charger pre-combat last turn to make Timuret a 2/3, so they'd have to double block to kill Timuret. But I just don't even want that to be a possibility. So yeah, Soul Reaper Mogis means I don't think Timuret's coming in. Again. Underworld Charger definitely is, though. Let's Relentless Pursuit first here. Because would we want to play any specific creatures pre-combat? I guess we wouldn't really. We just want a Mogis' Favor after combat if something weird happens. Alright, Underworld Charger. Oh, it just gets in for 3. Okay. Relentless Pursuit, what have we got? No green source, that's rough. If I take this Ferrisban Brawler, that's the strongest card here, but then I really need a second green. That's probably greedy, but I'm going to do it. We are in the world of just begging for that second green mana now. Well, some Chimera is active. We can escape that from the grave now if we want to. Get a 5/2 creature back out. Our opponent might still be stuck on 3 lands here. In a similar situation there, looking for a second island or something. Yeah, they're just passing the turn here. Just exile their one card in grave. No reason not to when we have the mana up. And there's the second green source. Beautiful draw here. We're hoping for not a counterspell from our opponent. But I'm just gonna go for it. Fingers crossed. Still no counterspell from our opponent. If they have some kind of weird trick, I guess they can win the fight. Okay, they don't win the fight. They just destroy before the fight happens. They are going to go ahead and double block the Underworld Charger now. If they had a Timber of their own, that would be very bad for us. If they don't, though, we can just start escaping some big threats. Definitely would rather get a 5/5 that can't block than a 5/2 on this board position. So yeah, let's escape Underworld Charger here, I guess. 6, we've got 7 mana, so we can do that and play a Grove Dancer. Or I could just Mogis' Favor for some massive value here. Just start shredding their board away. I mean, I definitely like Mogis' Favor, at least on the Grim position. But then I think I do play the Underworld Charger, and we can just do more Mogis' Favors next turn. We already milled our Omen of the Dead, so we don't have any other graveyard recursion, so just exile the non-escape cards. Five mana now from our opponent. Ashiok Nightmare Muse. Unfortunate. It's got to be in the top 3 bombs of the format. This is a ridiculous Planeswalker. Whenever the 2/3 attacks or blocks, we exile 2 cards from our library. This can also bounce one of our cards and make us exile a card in hand. The rest is kind of irrelevant because those 2 abilities alone are already just killer. I think we can send a 5/5 that way. We can Mogis' Favor, so they only have... It doesn't even matter if we Mogis' Favor, because they just chump with a 2/3, and then they make another 2/3, then they just chump with a 2/3 and make another 2/3. I think we genuinely just can't win. I mean, we have 7 mana, we can escape Chimera and play Grove Dancer, I guess. Just make our board as wide as possible, so maybe we go wide to kill Ashiok. I guess if they mill out, but we're milling out before them, then that's not going to change anytime soon. Yeah, no, we just kind of lost on the spot there. I generally don't think there's anything we can do. Oh, we don't want to exile Chimera because then we'll have to exile our Mogis' Favor, so... Alright, well... Just play some nonsense, I guess. But yeah, I mean, they just snap chump every turn. Block with Piper, then block with a Goat, then block with a 2/3, then block with a 2/3. Okay. That's actually interesting. I guess I should have waited to cast anything, because if my opponent was going to block like this, I could have got some Mogis' Favor value. I guess not really. Mogis' Favor wouldn't finish off the Soul Reaper here. But I could have put both of the 2/3s up front and then finished one off with Mogis' Favor. Yeah, I guess I should have just attacked before I did anything else and then hoped my opponent went for a triple block, and then we could have killed both the 2/3s at least. Should definitely be something. I mean, the only way they lose is if they just play really weird. Like, if they choose to bounce here. They didn't, though. They get another 2/3. And a Death Toucher. We can kill that Death Toucher really easily, at least. Can draw a card when they do it, though. Or they can draw a card when we try to kill that, though. And yeah, we mill out before then, because we're just going to keep milling 2 extra cards every turn. Blight Breath is -4/-4. Get rid of the Soul Reaper here. Is that better than Mobius is favoring right now? Probably, but then we don't have a good attack against the 2/3. But we don't have a good attack against the 2/3 anyway. Yeah, Blight Breath is our best play. We've got 1 card in their hand here. And it is not a counterspell. I don't have to pay the mana cost. So the ultimate is they cast 3 spells from exiled cards without paying mana costs. So you can cast Fairy's Band, Brawler, and double Relentless Pursuit for free. It's actually not that insane right now. Fairy's Band, Brawler, and Omen of the Dead, I guess. I don't think they ultimate yet. And they probably wouldn't, even if we had good things exiled, because they can just wait really easily, just make another 2/3, and then ultimate and still leave Ashiok on the board. Venomous Aerophant, opponent milling 3. It's all lands. Mill some lands.
Terror lurks among us.
More Typhons just don't matter. Just got Death Touchers and 2/3s all over the board. I guess we have the mana to play a Typhon and a Mobius' Favor at least. Which is something. This trades into one of their creatures, but they just keep getting replacements. And they exile cards from our library in the process. Got a Discordant Piper and a land there. I don't remember if our exile spell can exile planeswalkers. If it can, we actually do have one out. It can, so I guess we're playing to eat to extinction. If we can eat Ashiok, then we still have an out here. If they get too greedy with it and choose not to ultimate right now. If they ultimate right now, then even if we top deck eat to extinction, the game's just over. Because then they just cast 3 free spells on us. Blow up our board state some more. But if they get really greedy with this Ashiok and just want to keep upping the loyalty. Alright. We have the eat to extinction as an out. But yeah, now we just don't have an out. Because even if we get eat to extinction, we are far behind on board after this. And we still need to like immediately top deck eat to extinction or they'll get like 20 2/3s. Not 20, they'll get a couple 2/3s throughout this game before we die. Yeah, I'm gonna scoop them up here. I'm not playing any more of that one. Arena's giving us an uphill battle today for sure. Gotta beat an Uro and an Ashiok. Managed to fight through the Uro, but did not have the eat to extinction for the Ashiok. Actually, very similar to the Uro game, where it feels like the Uro game, the only reason that we won is because we immediately had the eat to extinction. And then the Ashiok game, I think we definitely could have won if we, again, just immediately had to eat to extinction, but we didn't that time, which is fair enough. We have one eat to extinction in our deck. Our deck is pretty low on removal, and that is coming back to bite us. That being said, the common removal spells in this format that I'm missing out on can't kill an Ashiok either. They don't target planeswalkers. So that game was a loss, even if we had a bunch of removal. But some of our other losses, just being low on removal, has definitely been painful. See how things go as we head into round 4. We are 1-2. Got at least one win out of this, and we've got a chance at some more. I think this deck is solid, but we have had some tough matchups. So we are on the play here with a great hand. Turn 2 play multiple different turn 3 options that are all quite good. So we get to curve out pretty well here. Playing against blue-red, they're going to play a Stinging Lionfish. That's a great, great target for Mogis' favor, but we don't need to kill it immediately. We can just play a 2-3 blocker, and we don't have to worry about them attacking, and then we can play Mogis' favor next turn. Make the most of all 4 of our mana by playing that and Relentless Pursuit. The only way this pans out poorly is if they buff the Stinging Lionfish, but there's not a ton of ways to do that. Alright, they're going to turn our Soul Reaper into a 0-1. I guess we can like sack it later, but I kind of just like it being in the graveyard. I guess we could hit a Lampad or something. So I'll just not block. Venomous Aerophant. Would I rather Aerophant or kill Lionfish and draw off a Pursuit here? I do want to hit more lands here. I'm trying to get to 6 mana, so the fact that Relentless Pursuit does pull a land out of the deck is actually kind of nice. So I'm going to go for Relentless Pursuit here. Definitely Timuret and Swamp, I think. Because we're going to want a lot of black mana to use Timuret as much as possible. Yeah, take the 0 from Soul Reaper Mogis. I should not have attacked with that. I just kind of slammed the all attack button instinctually. But our opponent is playing red, so they could have haste creatures. We could chump block with the Soul Reaper here. Shimmerwing Chimera. Beginning of their upkeep, they may return. They return up to one other enchantment they control to their hand. So that card is ridiculous with omens. That's actually one of the best cards in the format. I've had a lot of fun with that card in the past, and now it's going to be no fun because it's going to beat me up. I could play a Timuret and Mogis' favor. I could just play an Aerophant here. If I play Timuret, then I counter the black omen if they're trying to pick up Lionfish, but I assume they're going to play the blue omen and just scry 2, draw a card, and do that multiple times. So I think I make the most of my mana, cast our big card, the Venomous Aerophant, and then our plan for the Fairies Band Brawler is to kill the heck out of the Shimmerwing Chimera. Well, they're going to return Ichthyomorphosis. I completely forgot about that. That is a sick combo. Now they can cast it on our Venomous Aerophant here. Definitely less value than if they had an Omen in hand, but that will work. Okay, so we're going to make the Aerophant just an enchantment, I guess. Well, they're tapped out now, but they do get to Ichthyomorphosis our 4-4, but I'm still killing the Chimera. Still worth it to me. Because if they Ichthyomorphosis our 4-4, then they're not quite tapped out. They could have 2 mana up, but they're tapped out enough that we're hitting them down to 6, most likely. Like, what are they going to do with the final 2 mana? Play a single blocker? Yeah, play a single blocker. I guess we don't hit them down to 6, but we still hit them hard. And we trade off into that Chimera with our Piper, I suppose. Doesn't look like a great spot for them here. We do hit them down to 6 because they don't want to lose that Chimera. Get our Voracious Typhon and our Timurets. And our board state's looking great. Timuret's yelling, just right in our opponent's face. There's another Stinging Lionfish, awesome for the Mogis' favor. Yeah, let's just get our value here. Do that all day long. Thirst for Meaning, so they get to tap something down here since they cast an instant. Tap our 4-4. And they get to deal a damage to us and scry 1 before they draw 3. Which is pretty good. Do I cast Mogis' favor on Timuret? So that Timur's just a massive threat. I don't think that finds lethal. If it does, I think I do that. Yeah, I mean, I could make Timuret a really big threat and they have to block Timuret now, and then they take 4 and go to 2. It actually does seem kind of cool. They're just going to scoop them up. I'm taking too much time thinking through my options. My opponent is over it. They don't like the cards they drew. I think they are out of the game, so that'll be 2 and 2 now with our green-black deck. Here we are in round 5 now. Pretty slow hand, but we're on the play, which kind of makes up for it. We have the most important card in our deck, Eat to Extinction, that has single-handedly won us a game and would have saved us in another round had we had it, so might be getting a little too tied to my Eat to Extinction, but I feel like it's a very good sign if we have the Eat to Extinction. Very important card. Opponent is on mono green so far. I don't think I've played against a monocolored deck on the return trip yet, but there are some powerful devotion cards that can make monocolored an option. It is a rarity, so it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it is pretty cool. Alright. Scripted game so far. Everybody's just casting their spells on curve, making the most of their mana. No escape cards yet, but we have another Aerophant coming up. Plus the Omen of the Dead if we mill a non-escape creature that's particularly good. Nexus Wardens are just okay. Don't think I'm going to Omen of the Dead that card. It is the green-black mirror match here. They have a Destiny Spinner and a Lampet of Death's Vigil, and here's Relentless Pursuit. It's going to pick up a Venomous Aerophant and a Swamp, it looks like. Are there only 2 options? Yep, Swamp, Venomous Aerophant it is. I don't know how to pronounce that. I hope I'm doing it somewhat correctly. Hierophant. Hierophant. Grim Physician. They get to curve out pretty well there too. That extra mana. So we have a Relentless Pursuit as well, but I'd rather just Aerophant. There we go. Underworld Charger is a nice escape card in the grave. Any good creatures there? Nope, just the Underworld Charger. I think I've milled our Ferryca's Libation every game. I haven't actually, like, drawn it. Just milled it. With Omen of the Dead in our hand, we can just, like, attack around pretty willy-nilly here. Second Lampet of Death's Vigil is pretty good. Those can sack the Grim Physician at any time as well. Just kind of fancy. Make the Underworld Charger here. Yeah, it's going to start shredding their board apart. And kill at least one of their cards, which is big. I think that's what I'm doing here. It's going to be a solid card to start attacking in with. You don't really need to be blocking here, so we can just send in the Aerophants as well. Take any 1-for-1 trade they want. But most likely a 2-for-1 trade because of the Death Touch. Even if they block with like a 2-3 and a 1-1 Grim Physician, I just do 1 damage to each and Death Touch them away. Or if they go 2-3, 1-3, like, again, I'm also just killing both in that scenario. Alright, looks like we're just wiping the board here. Just everything's gonna die. I could do the fancy Grim Physician thing somebody told me about here, where they're gonna do 2 damage to my Aerophant and then give it -1/-1, right? But I could just put 3 damage on the Lampet of Death's Vigil, and if I do that, then my Aerophant takes 2 damage and the Grim Physician doesn't die. Or, I'm sorry, it takes 2 damage and the Grim Physician doesn't die. The problem is then they could just sack the Grim Physician and do it anyway, if they see what's going on here. Actually, no, because they'd have to sack the Physician before combat damage. Yeah, I think I can save Aerophant here, this way. So we do it like that, and we do it like that. Now we choose our combat damage. No, opponent's going to play a trick here. It'd have to be like an indestructible trick or something to stop Death Touch. We'll see what's going on here. Make it so Destiny Spinner will come back to their battlefield. Okay. Okay. That's fine. So yeah, kill them both. But here, we're only going to kill Lampet of Death's Vigil. Now you do need to go into your arena settings and choose not to auto-assign damage to do things like this. But if you do all your damage to Lampet and do 0 to Physician, our Aerophant doesn't die. Sure, their Physician doesn't die either, but our Aerophant doesn't die. So yeah, thank you very much for whoever commented about that during the Theros draft number 2, because that did come in handy to know that for now. Nessian Boar, uh-oh. Might have to eat that to extinction, I suppose. And I'm going to go ahead and just pick up the other Aerophant here. That seems good to me. Hopefully they don't play something better here. I am going to eat that boar. Some delicious ham. And hold back our 1-4, because that just bounces off the 2-3. I don't think they have any good blocks here because of the way we can stack our damage if we wish. And then we just drop Lampet of Death's Vigil, gain some more life, and still have a threatening board position thanks to Underworld Charger. Just kind of taking names today, at least in this game. The Nightmare Horse coming in. Venomous Hierophant coming down. They mill a Timuret, Calls the Dead, Hateful Idol, and an Acolyte of Affliction. Some incredibly powerful cards, so hopefully they don't have good recursion to pick those up from their graveyard, because those are some absolute bangers. Alright, double Relentless Pursuit to make sure we're drawing well. If we hit one land, we still get to cast Aerophant, so I do want a Relentless Pursuit here. I feel like I should probably just do it post-combat. But I am going to cast one. They can 1-for-1 trade into the Underworld Charger now, but again, because of the escape effect, that is very okay with me. Because we can get it right back out. If they kill Underworld Charger, I'd probably rather just play it again than cast Relentless Pursuit this turn. I guess it depends on how they kill it. If they kill it using their Death Toucher, or if their Death Toucher dies at all, then I would definitely rather bring back another Underworld Charger than play an Aerophant and a Relentless Pursuit. But if the Death Toucher is still around, then returning Underworld Charger is not that exciting. And it is worth noting, they are starting to get to where if they took one more hit from Underworld Charger, Lampet of Death's Vigil is just lethal. So that's how this card can just threaten to kill you out of nowhere. You know, because we know they're tapped out, no cards in hand, so they can't just choose to take this 5, or they're dead on board. So the Lampet of Death's Vigil actually putting them in a really rough spot where they're kind of forced into blocks. Alright, 3-3 Death Touch for 3-3 Death Touch makes sense to me. I guess opponent did not see the math here. But yeah, we just win with Lampet of Death's Vigil. This card can steal games out of nowhere. So often people will just not see the lines as well. If you haven't gotten Lampetted before, it's not a good feeling. And it is hard to see coming. But once it's happened to you, then you're like, wow, all right, I'm going to pay some major attention to that card in the future. Lampet of Death's Vigil is ridiculous, as we see there, and that will steal us the win out of nowhere, give us a 3-2 as we head into round 6. Back again for game 6 here. Opponents on the play, and we don't have anything castable till turn 4. We've got some great cards, but it's a slow hand that will absolutely fall apart against Boros decks, and this is probably metagaming in a way that's not going to help me out, but our opponent's playing some big, scary, fire-breathing Dragon Sleeves. I'm going to assume they're aggressive and take the mulligan here. Much better hand against aggro. A little bit weaker hand overall, just because, you know, one less card and all of that. Gonna get rid of the second green because we do have a double black card in hand. Would be very sad if I start drawing my double green cards though, which can definitely happen. But we'll see. All right, I am glad I took the mulligan here because Pious Wayfarer is the most aggressive turn 1 play in the format, I think. At least at common. Yep, we're against the hard aggro Boros deck here. Get a Lampet out here because it can block the Pious Wayfarer without dying. But we probably have to just trade for the Underworld Ragehound either way, don't we? But yeah, the Lampet can block the Wayfarer even if they play an enchantment and make it a 2/3. Whereas the Grove Dancer can't do that. Yeah, I think I have to trade with Ragehound, which is rough. Because this card has escape, which means it can come back later. Very similar to the Underworld Charger, just puts a lot of pressure on. Which, speaking of, I'm just going to reverse curse here and see if I can't get a little aggressive against them. Their board's just a 1/2 now. We'll see. Dreadful Apathy, well, that's pretty good with Pious Wayfarer. Removal and... it buffs the Wayfarer. I could Omen of the Dead to pick up Lampet of Death's Vigil, then sacrifice the Underworld Charger so that I can escape it later. This seems weird, but I'm 100% doing this. So they can't exile my Dreadful Charger because they don't have the mana to do it right now. And I gain a life doing this, plus I have a 1/3 blocker now instead of a 2/2 blocker, which is slightly better at blocking Pious Wayfarer if they just play an enchantment creature like this. Yeah, 1/3 better blocker than the 2/2 would have been. This looks like it pans out fine. If they use a combat trick to kill the Lamped, so be it. Alright, no combat trick, just going to use the Oread to start discarding cards to draw cards. Looking like we have a chance at stabilizing here. If we Relentless Pursuit and we hit a forest, we can cast Grove Dancer still. This also fills our grave for Underworld Charger, gets us closer to Blight Breath Catoblepas. Catablepus. I'm gonna have to look up how to pronounce that again. Well, it's a black source, which still gets us closer to the Blight Breath, but doesn't let us cast Skull of Grove Dancer, which is a bit rough. I kind of want to pick up the Typhon, but we need double green for it, and we can escape it anyway. Caryatid we couldn't cast right now anyway as well. I'll just grab a Soul Reaper, I guess, which we also can't cast right now, but since we couldn't cast either, then might as well take the bigger card. Six mana from our opponent. Whoa, 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 no. This is just supposed to be a block here. Are we taking one, or are they gonna use a combat trick this time? Just taking one. And then Archon of Falling Stars. 4/4 flyer, when it dies, they return an enchantment from their graveyard to the battlefield, not even the hand. So they get Dreadful Apathy back? I guess we gotta just exile that, don't we? Yep. That's the play this turn. Exile that and pass. Oh, there's the forest. Keeping that on top so hard. Keeping that firmly on top. I have super glued that card to the top of my deck. Triumph of an Axe is actually kind of deadly here, because Pious Wayfarer immediately is attacking for 3 this turn. Oh, or they could do that, I guess. Get in for 2 damage instead of 3. Oh, yeah, Wayfarer can put the +1 wherever they want. So yeah, that works too. Another way to get in for 3 this turn. But yeah, this card is terrifying, because it's just going to hit harder and harder each turn. And then it's going to kill one of our creatures in a fight, basically. Okay, so we get to drop Blight Breath now. This only gives plus power, right? No extra toughness? Yeah, no extra toughness. So we can block and kill something with our Blight Breath. We kill something with Blight Breath immediately, and then block and kill something with it again. I'd rather kill the Oread here, because that card can get them out of any mana flood. As you can see, they've been discarding some lands to it and drawing cards. So Wayfarer's a 3-2 trample here. We can block and trade with the Blight Breath. Heroes of the Revel. Big old 4-4 comes with a 1-1. Pretty scary. No attacks, because they know we can trade. And here's Libation. Their only enchantment is the Triumph of an Axe, so we can use it to get rid of that. And then we have 3 mana left over to play Soul Reaper, I guess. That actually does seem fine to me, because this is going to be really bad at making them sack a creature right now. Yeah, I actually like getting rid of Triumph of an Axe. Alright. Pass turn. Trying to be as stable as I can be here with some sturdy blockers. But, wow, yeah, any combat tricks are going to really buff their field. They have multiple creatures that give +1 power to their whole board when they get targeted, which is pretty threatening. Fingers crossed, no tricks. They kill one of our creatures here. Just kill our 3-2. Tricks it is. Fateful End will get us. It's not terrible though. Fateful End was already just going to be really bad for us either way. Now what? Need a little more cards in our grave for the Typhon. So I kind of like just playing this Typhon, just a 4-4 here, because 4-4 for 4-4 trade is all good. It's all well and dandy, and then we have the mana to scry our Omen of the Dead away. Oh, we don't need another card engraved for Typhon. We just needed to play the land first. I forgot how expensive that one is to escape. So we could have escaped that. And probably should have. But this way we get to scry 2. It's like, would we rather play a 4-4 and scry 2 or play a single 7-7 and not scry? Probably just play a 7-7 to be honest, but we can just play the 7-7 next turn now. Sentinel's Eyes to make that a 6/5. Can make it 7, so it kills both our creatures on a double block. Yeah, that's pretty monstrous. Buff the token is the choice. Do we take 6 here? We could take 6 here and still have a 4-4 on the board. But then we're down very low. We take 7 here if we double block the heroes, though. This is not beautiful. I actually don't know if we'd be in a much better position if we made a 7-7. I guess we would, because then we block there and there. Yeah, no, that was really rough not making the 7-7. These are going straight to the bottom. Get out of here. Yeah, but I guess I stop more damage this way, and I still have a 4-4 out. I stop 1 more damage, and lower the number of creatures on their board, which is pretty important. When we're about to play some big blockers. See, if they don't draw into something here, we've got pretty excellent blocks now. Like if they draw dead, they were like really getting towards stabilizing. Oh, again, I already used my graveyard recursion, so I did not need to leave all my creatures in there. I could just exile creatures. Well, they didn't draw dead, so we are dead. They just top decked. No creatures get to block this turn. So we're super dead. And I would have been super dead even if I played the 7-7 first. Rough way to end it, but 3-3 we managed to stabilize that draft out, which was pretty nice because we played against some very good decks this round. Some Uros and Ashiok and such. Some very scary stuff from our opponents. Deck turned out to be super average. Green-black value deck here. I think that's pretty accurate to how it looks. Again, our biggest issue is our removal sucks. Farrakhan's Libation is not very good, and outside of that, we only have Eat to Extinction in Mobius's favor. Aspect of Lamprey did play pretty well. I'd probably put a 1 of into most like random random black decks like this. But we are missing out pretty hard that we don't have a Final Death or Mire's Grasp or anything like that in here. Other than that, though, overall, I think deck performed pretty solid. Just a bit slow, but no massive glaring issues outside of some mediocre removal. The deck really does have the big late game cards to get back into it, just with Escape in general, tending to be a pretty powerful mechanic. But that is going to end today's draft. As always, if you enjoyed these videos and you would like to see more, then you can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send some more of these videos to you in your recommended feeds. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching. I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.